What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Hangout Spot, where you already know it's real talk, sports talk, live from my man cave. It's your boy Johnny, and let's talk Jets. But before that, if you happen to watch my video this week where I gave my Week 11 NFL picks with spreads, I want to thank you for watching. And if you did subscribe, thank you for your support. I definitely appreciate it. Welcome to the team. Definitely come hang out with me a lot more often. I'm going to be doing these pick videos every single week. Last week, I was actually 10-4 picking the winner outright, and I was 9-5 picking against the spread. So if you want to come chill and possibly make some money in the long run following some of my pick leads, come check out your boy. We'll see what we can do to take care of you. But anyhow, let's get into this week's matchup between the 4-5 New York Jets, who are traveling to Buffalo to face the 5-5 Buffalo Bills in a divisional matchup, a 4:25 Eastern start. Both teams are looking to right the ship because they're both coming off 2 consecutive losses. However, the Bills are actually not a bad offensive team. The Jets are probably one of the worst offensive teams. So times have changed since game 1 of the season, where the Jets actually were able to beat the Bills 22-16 in the infamous Aaron Rodgers Achilles game, a game where they played very, very inspired football. I mean, Zach came in, he was pretty solid. He made some decent throws down the stretch that enabled us to tie that game and then ultimately win it in overtime in dramatic fashion with an Xavier Gibson punt return for a touchdown on Monday Night Football. It was also a game where the defense was lights out. We actually picked off Josh Allen 3 times and we sacked him 5 times. The Jets were looking like a legit playoff contender after that week. In fact, after 6 weeks going into the bye, many people were saying that they were a legit contender to possibly win the AFC East. But then you fast forward to the nonsense that we're seeing today. And right now, we just can't score points. We can't get the ball in the end zone. Ladies and gentlemen, this team has not scored an offensive touchdown in over 39 possessions, which in a pass-happy, offensively driven NFL is totally pathetic and embarrassing. We can't do anything to help us muster enough yardage to just sustain a drive and score a touchdown. And a lot of that has to do with poor play calling, a lack of discipline, and inconsistent quarterback play. That's where we are. The Bills, on the other hand, they don't have a problem with scoring points. I mean, they're 8th in the league, almost averaging 27 points a game. Their biggest issue is Josh Allen turning over the football, which is pretty shocking because Josh Allen is one of the elite quarterbacks in the league. But in 10 games, he has 11 interceptions, which is totally high. And a lot of that has to do with who Josh Allen is. I mean, he's a gunslinger. He has a great arm, which can be beneficial, but can also be detrimental because those guys tend to be gunslingers and they try to fit balls in the smallest windows. Hence, they end up turning the ball over a lot. The Bills did shake things up, though, on the offensive side of the football to try to get Josh Allen to be a lot more consistent. They fired their offensive coordinator this week and promoted Joe Brady into the OC role. So I don't know what type of effect that's going to make on the Bills. I mean, I would only assume that it will be positive. So that's something that we have to look out for. But the Jets also, made some noise from an accountability standpoint as well this week, too. I mean, Saleh cut Michael Carter, which I felt bad for the kid because if that's the person that you are making the scapegoat on why the offense is struggling the way it has, he's totally not the right person. I mean, he has not played a lot of football. Granted, when he has been in there in limited amount of action, he hasn't been good. But it's definitely not his fault that the offense is playing the way it is. But either way, he was cut, which means that Izzy Abanikanda, the rookie who showed a lot of flashes in preseason, is going to get some snaps. So I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that this team needs a huge infusion of energy. He can provide that. If utilized properly, I think him and Breece Hall make a tremendous 1-2 combination because both of them, in my opinion, have the threat to hit a home run anytime they touch the football. So that was a good move. And then you had Saleh saying that he was going to give Ruckert some more playing time, which means he's probably going to bench C.J. Uzomah. Another good move we'll get into in a second. And then lastly, the players, I guess, were tolerated with the nonsense that they were seeing offensively with all the lack of execution and penalties. They had a players-only meeting behind closed doors. So hopefully they come out a totally different team. I mean, players, have the tendency when they air things out and they're hard on each other to see things a little bit differently and approach the game a little bit differently. And, anything right now will help the Jets because they are anemic on offense, and you just can't win football games like that. When you are either dead last or close to dead last in almost every offensive category, including points scored, that is a recipe for disaster. You're not going to win many games in this league. And that's playing with a defense that is top 10 in points allowed. So they've been balling out. The offense just hasn't done their part to play complementary football. And that's the most frustrating piece because if they do, the Jets have an opportunity to beat anybody in the NFL with the way their defense plays week in and week out, especially against top talent quarterbacks, which they've proven. I mean, we look at what we did to Josh Allen week 1. We made him look pedestrian, or in Salah's words, we embarrassed him. You got to hope that he didn't hear that and looks to embarrass us in this game. Hopefully not, but he definitely has the ability to do so. I have my 5 keys to victory that I believe, if the Jets can execute, gives them an excellent opportunity to win this game. The Jets always plays the Bills tough. You got to think it's going to be tough for us to be able to sweep them in the season series, but anything is possible. Like I said, the Bills haven't been playing great football either. I don't know what the specific reason for that is. I don't watch a lot of Buffalo Bill football, but from some of the things that I'm hearing from their fans, a lot of it has to do with Sean McDermott and their coaching. So, a lot of their fans are calling for his head. So I got to think that maybe that's the issue. But either way, he hasn't really impressed me in some of the games that they've played against us. So maybe he is the issue. But right now, we can't worry about McDermott. We can't worry about Josh Allen. We got to worry about what we do, and it starts on the offensive side of the football. So starting with my 5 keys of victory, I think that the biggest thing for me going into this game that we have to correct and get right is the penalties. That has been killing us the last few weeks, and it has to stop. I mean, through 4 games, the last 4 games, the Jets have 34 penalties for 276 yards. That is almost 3 football fields. That's unacceptable. That's just a severe lack of discipline. And Salah has to hold these guys accountable. Hopefully the players did a good job in holding themselves accountable in this meeting, because it's been happening from all different directions. I mean, you've had Lazard that has committed some. You've had CJ that has committed some. You've had Zach Wilson that obviously has a couple of intentional groundings. The offensive line has obviously done their share to pitch into this nonsense. So, I mean, it's across the board, man. It's not just one person. But you got to think that Salah is going to go into this game with the mindset that the first player that commits that stupid pre-snap penalty that negates a big play is going to get pulled. And you're going to make an example out of him. And you're going to set that example to the rest of the team that this shit is unacceptable. If you continue to foul and make stupid penalties, you're not going to play. Whether it's pulling them out for a quarter, whether it's pulling them out for a half, or even the whole game, you got to set the standard that this shit has to stop. And the only way to do that is to pull players, and pull from their playing time. That's, in my opinion, is when they start to respond, because nobody likes to get benched and pulled. You're going to look to correct that shit, and the Jets have to correct that. If they're going to have any chance in winning this game, the Jets cannot shoot themselves in the foot. We are not a team that is good enough to be able to withstand negative plays, penalties that negate first downs, chunk plays. Last week, a touchdown. We haven't scored a touchdown in forever, yet we get one, and it gets called back because of a stupid pre-snap penalty. That stuff has to just stop. We have to get this right. The first game we played against the Bills, week 1, we only had 2 penalties for 10 yards. Go figure. It's not a secret why. Combining that with solid football, we were able to win the game, which takes me into my second key to victory, which is an infusion of youth. Last I checked, young players, rookies, guys that are hungry to get into the lineup, usually come in and provide a spark of energy. Why? Because of all the reasons I just said. They're hungry. They want to get an opportunity to play, and they know that if they play at a high level, it gives them an opportunity to play more. You got to get these young guys in there. I think that Salah has done the right thing with now putting the, or potentially now, getting Izzy Abanikanda some snaps. I think that will help. Anything will help us. He has speed. He has proven in the preseason that he can potentially hit a home run. Give him some playing time. Let him get some snaps and see what he can do backing up Breece Hall. I think it could be a good 1-2 combination if you call the right plays and you utilize them properly. Jeremy Ruckert, we talked about that. What has CJ Uzomah been giving you other than penalties and drop passes? Let Ruckert play. He has proven that he is a solid blocker. He is a solid receiver. He was a solid receiver and blocker in Ohio State. That hasn't changed. Let him play. Let these guys play. And you would hope that Saleh does the same thing and he dresses Jason Browning and lets him get some burn. I mean, listen, you weren't getting anything from Cobb. You pulled him out. Realistically, what are you getting from Allen Lazard? I mean, I looked at his stats. He only has 20 catches this year. I don't know how many drops he's had, but it seems like it's been a lot the last few weeks and a lot of penalties as well. Pull him and let Brownlee play. He had a very, very good preseason. Let's see what he brings to the table. Jet fans were clamoring about Joe Douglas making a trade at the deadline for a second wide receiver. Well, let's give this kid a shot. Maybe we got one and we don't know that we do. He could potentially be that guy and help us stretch the field. He has some size. He has some good hands. He shows some toughness in preseason. Let him get some reps. That's the only way he's going to be able to acclimate himself and possibly help us. So, in my opinion, the last I checked, this offense needs a huge spark of energy, and I think the young guys can do that. So, definitely look to get the young guys involved in this game and hopefully in the in the future games going forward, which brings me to my key to victory number 3, which is we have to show some kind of a vertical passing attack to help us open up the field for Zach Wilson. Again, enough of these stupid intermediate 10, 12 yards, rectangular plays in the middle of the field that are very, very predictable, not only to the other team, but the fans, because if I'm calling them, the defense is definitely going to see them coming before they happen. We got to be able to let Zach loose, let Zach sling the football. He has a good arm. Let's see what can happen if we try to take some vertical threats. If at the very least, maybe we can also get some PIs, some pass interferences that will also help us move the chains. I mean, anything helps. What it does going downfield is it gets the defense thinking that, it's not always going to be an intermediate play. They will throw the ball down the field. We have to make sure that we are alert. But if you don't do it, the defenses are going to come in and they're going to stack the box, and it's going to make it a lot harder for us to get some early yardage on the first couple of downs. And God knows we need to get into some manageable situations and convert some third downs. That's actually one of my other keys. I don't want to steal the thunder, but throw the ball vertically. Let's show that. Funny thing is, last week, it actually looked like we were going to try to make some more throws vertically. We threw the ball early down the field to Garrett Wilson. It looked like Zach was getting into a little bit of the groove, and the play calling looked like it was going to be good until some of these penalties, I think, demoralized the team, and then they reverted back to the same team of the last few weeks. But take shots down the field, man. That's going to be the only way that this offense is going to get any type of respect and hopefully open up the middle of the field, which takes me to my key to victory number 4, which is we got to keep Josh Allen in the pocket. Everybody knows that once the pocket collapses, Josh Allen will not hesitate to use his legs and his athleticism to get chunk yardage and first downs. That will kill us. We have a very aggressive front four, so you got to think that the pocket is going to collapse. We did sack him 5 times the first game, so he's going to keep that in the back of his mind. And I'm sure that if we don't spy him, he's going to take off and he's going to get a lot of chunk yardage that way. So if I'm the Jets, I definitely spy him. Keep him in the pocket. What you want Josh Allen to do is to throw the football, because the more he throws, the more he has a tendency to make mistakes and throw it to the other team. I'm hoping that we get another 2 turnovers if he makes some bad decisions, because that, in my opinion, is going to be the only way that the Jets are going to have an opportunity to win this game. We got to be able to win the turnover battle, and it starts with keeping Josh Allen in the pocket, which brings me to my last key to victory, which is what I alluded to earlier. It'd be easy for me to say that we have to score touchdowns. That's pretty obvious, but you can't score touchdowns if you can't move the chains. So baby steps. So my 5th key is taking those baby steps and converting on third downs, moving the chains. Right now, it's no secret. We are dead last in the NFL on third down conversions, third down efficiency. Right now, we're at 25%, which is totally horrendous considering, again, this is a league that is driven. It is an offensively driven league. It is a pass-happy league. There's no way on earth we should be that low with the type of talent that we have on the offensive side of the football. A team that has a dynamic running back and a stud number 1 wide receiver. There's just no way on earth we should be this piss poor when it comes to third down efficiency. And it all starts with getting chunk yardage on the first 2 plays, right? Getting the ball into Breece Hall's hands, trying to see if we can get into third and short, third and manageable situations to make it easier for Zach. And if you're Zach, you definitely want to build on what you saw last week, which is him taking yardage, him utilizing his legs when the pocket collapses and picking up chunk yardage and first downs by running the football. I think he did a good job of that last week. My expectation is he continues to do that. That will help keep the defense on edge and also, again, help us pick up yardage and hopefully get into some manageable third downs. It's no secret that we can't score touchdowns, but if we're not in the red zone, it won't give us opportunities to score touchdowns. And the only way to get into the red zone is to move the chains and get first downs. If we're in the red zone, hopefully with more opportunities, we'll be able to right the ship. But we can't do that if we're not in there. And not getting third downs is also a detriment to our defense because they're just, they're out there way too long. And usually in the fourth quarters, they're spent. And you got to think that this is going to be a close game. So you want to make sure that you move the chains early and often, give them rest so that hopefully they are fresh going into the fourth quarter, which I think, like I said, the game will be fairly close. And those are my 5 keys to victory for this week's New York Jets versus Buffalo Bills game. So what happens? What is my prediction? What do I think happens? Well, I mean, if I had to keep it real, just like I said last week, I find it very hard to believe that all of these offensive woes that the Jets are going through will be fixed overnight. When you are this bad on offense, when you're historically bad on offense, those issues aren't going to fix themselves overnight. It's usually going to take a while before we start to see this team get into any type of groove. And it starts with the play calling, and then obviously it stems down to the execution. If we can't score any touchdowns, it's going to be hard for me to believe that we're going to be able to beat anyone, like I said last week, especially a Bills team who are chomping at the bit. We beat them already. I'm sure they heard Saleh's comments about us embarrassing, top-level quarterbacks. They're losers of 2 straight, so they're going to want to right the ship. They know that if they get things going in the right direction, that they are a serious contender to possibly make it to the AFC Championship game. So you got to think coming out tomorrow at home, they're going to play with some pride, and they're going to look like a totally different team than they did week 1. My hope is that we look like a different team than we've looked like the last few weeks. I don't worry about the defense. I think the defense will hold their own. We are a championship-level defense, in my opinion. We are just an offense or a quarterback away from possibly being in this category of being mentioned as a team that could possibly make it to a championship game. But right now, we just don't have that. We're playing with a backup who is continuously trying to get better and find his way. He's been, he has had moments where you see the wow moments and the great passes and the no-look passes and maybe a good drive and a good throw here and there. But then he's also had issues where he'll hold on to the ball too long. He will be erratic with the football. He will throw it to the other team. Although he hasn't been doing it as much. He did it last week in a key moment late in the game. And he also has been putting the ball on the ground and fumbling. So these are all things that will lead to an inconsistent offense. You got to hope that, again, we can change up the play calling a bit and get these young kids involved, and hopefully they provide a spark and infusion of energy. If we can get the ball into the end zone a couple of times and possibly score another 22, 23 points like we did the first time around, I think the Jets can win this game, but I just don't see it. And until I see any type of a semblance of an NFL caliber offense out there that's able to move the ball and get the ball into the end zone, I'm not confident in picking the Jets to beat anybody. So my prediction is, and coming into this game, the Bills are actually a 7-point favorite at home. I think that the Bills win this game, but I think it's going to be a close game. Honestly, I don't think that they cover. I think the Bills are either going to win by a field goal or possibly 2 field goals. So if you are picking outright, I would pick the Bills to win this game at home. But if you are picking against the spread, I'd take the Jets. I think the Jets are going to keep this game close. For some reason, Zach has a tendency to play pretty well against Buffalo. So I think we'll do enough to keep the game close. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I just don't think that we're going to do enough to be able to win this game. So I'm going to pick the Bills to win this one, and I'm going to go with my gut, not my heart. And just like last week, I hope I'm wrong. But anyhow, that's my prediction. Let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I mean, do you think that that I'm spot on? Do you think that the Bills win this game? Do you think that the Jets are going to come out and be a different team and finally find ways to get into the end zone and beat a struggling Buffalo team? Do you think that maybe our defense is going to dictate this game and hopefully put some points on the board and enable us to win that way? I mean, I anything. All comments are welcome. I love hearing everybody's feedback. Let me know your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this video, definitely like it. And if you're new to watching my videos, definitely subscribe, man, and come support and hang out with your boy more often. I enjoy doing these videos for you, and I enjoy everybody's support and everybody's comments and feedback. So thank you for all of that. But until next time, thanks for watching. This is Johnny signing out from the Hangout Spot, and I'll talk to everybody soon.